Salutations, Utopians. Hope all is well in your world. As you all know, we don't start the association today until tomorrow, when the play-in begins. But tonight was about women's basketball and history being made and continuing to be made as we progress on to bigger and better things in the hoops world. Um, as you all know, as much as was highly anticipated, the Dallas Wings, with their first overall pick, selected UConn sensation Paige Beckers. She finished third in the program in all-time scoring. As you all know, she becomes now the sixth UConn player to ever get drafted first overall. Rich history from that program in terms of great women's basketball players, and she had a 50, 40, 90 season, the most efficient season in women's college basketball history. She made it without really any serious injuries, which was the biggest concern. Obviously, having three serious surgeries the first 2 years, and so she definitely earned her spot. And she has a very infectious, vivacious personality. If you ever get a chance to check her out on social media, she's one of those people that a lot of people that have crossed paths with her felt like it was a family member. That's a gift to have. On very few people possess that attribute. Um, Dallas already has Erika Goumier, who's won the MVP last year in the All Star game, went berserk. Even though, from a team collective standpoint, they didn't have a lot of success, DJ Carrington emerged as one of the best two-way athletes in the W. Uh, and I really thought was supposed to be the defensive player of the year. Nalissa Smith, a very fluid scorer out on the front line. So Wings have a lot of promise. They can definitely out the gate scrap for a playoff appearance. I don't know if they'll make it the first year. Um, I tend to lean not to, just for the simple fact they went through an aggressive overhaul, and three new starters. It can be difficult, you know what I mean? New front office, new head coach, and so a lot has to be, integrated in a short amount of time. As you all know, from when people get drafted to when the season begins, you only have about a month in the dub, and so unfortunately, I don't know how fast you can program all this, but if anyone can pull it off, it's Paige, who's got such a universal mindset on the court and off it. So, congrats to her, truly. It was a question, I was seeing all these teams stockpiling draft capitals, and you start to wonder what's going on, because in the NBA that normally means teams are gearing up for a trade, and so the W obviously operates differently. There's some players who got drafted tonight that won't ever even make a roster, so that's how ruthless it is until they continue to expand. Shout out to I believe it's Toronto, uh, and I want to say either it's Portland or Miami as the 1 and 2 teams coming up next. Washington was a little bit of a surprise for me. They could go any direction. Speaking of franchises with multiple first round picks, they had back to back in the top three. And Sonia Citron from Notre Dame was selected. She oftentimes got overshadowed by Olivia Miles, aka Magic Miles, because she's such a phenomenal, flashy distributor. And then you had Hannah Hidalgo, very spicy three-level scorer, two-way threat. So, didn't always get the most attention, but very fundamentally sound, very polished player, two-way threat, great temperament on the court, very complimentary. So you can turn it on and off in terms of whether it's time to take over a game or to just be a complimentary role player, as I alluded to earlier. So, as you're starting a franchise and going through a drastic rebuild like the Mystics, who are trying to find their identity, they obviously moved off of veteran Ariel Atkins, who's now with the Chicago Sky. Um, they do have Alyssa Edwards, who was going blow for blow with Nafisa Collier, the league's didn't win the MVP, but some would argue is the best player in the W, and she more than held her own. I felt like she should have been on the first team last year over certain players, but sometimes that's what happens. As you can see, it won't stop a Hall of Famer from making it. In Melo's case, Carmelo Anthony. So anything can happen, but that is another great foundational piece for them. They also sent Vandersloot to the expansion draft, so they needed some guard reinforcements, and Citrone is the perfect safe pet to at least guarantee out the gate you can get some type of contribution, and you don't have to worry what the return on investment is. Second was now the third pick was Kiki Arifin, who was paired with Juju Watkins, the face of women's college basketball, or co-face of the women's hoops last year. And a lot of people question her transferring, including myself. She and Lauren Betts, UCLA's defensive Naismith Defensive Player of the Year, were teammates. They both transferred out. I was kind of questioning whether USC in that complementary role was really what was best for her. As you can see, a lot of people from USC transferred after the year. I think only person really left is Kennedy Smith. They are getting a player in from Oregon, or Southpaw, who shows to be a very versatile player, two-way threat. But as of right now, Kiki had a lot of times where she had to reinvent herself when she might have been more of a main character, and it's good in the long run because she will be sharing the pain with Aaliyah Edwards, and I'm thinking there's another big who missed last season, but was definitely a key cornerstone piece who will be returning. Forgive me, I can't remember. I see the red hair, but I can't think of her at the moment. But Kiki Arafin does it for big, has a very fluid jump shot, is not a paint clogger, so that's one great thing. And she does have a complimentary personality. Doesn't have to be the ace in one, even though she can be a little lost when she has to be that way. But next year, the Mystics are not feeling any pressure to be playoff nor title contenders right away. As a franchise that had another overhaul, losing their head coach who went on to Dallas, ironically, and so. And I think their coach had been there for like 9 years, so it's going to be a slow renovation process, no pressure, filling out. But eventually, at the end of the day, Kiki has a lot to contribute. She has some skill sets that really immediately transfer. That's in her favor: size, jumper, relatively good lateral quickness for her size. So in length. So those are things just off the bat. I think that can help her survive and maintain as an interesting prospect. Um, Not many people know much about this southpaw from Lithuania. Her name is Juste Joyce, and she was drafted by the Valkyries, the very first pick. They already have some people there, right? And they also picked up Vegas's Chelsea. What is the player from the Las Vegas Aces? They picked up six woman of the year last year, but they always could use more depth. They could have went any kind of way. It was a bit of a head scratcher. I didn't hear of this player's name. I didn't hear of Justy prior to today on anybody's mock draft, which is why I didn't bother even making one, because like I said, no one knows really what's going to happen, and this was one of the big time go in any directions. I want to remember that I will go back to the Valkyrie because they did make a really great pick though in the third round that I'm amazingly fond of. Georgia Amore's a 5'5" electric guard, very flashy, from Kentucky. Ends up on the Mystics. Mystics had Vandersloot last year, who was very flashy, but they gave her away, and so it was great to see Amore end up over there. She has some real star power, great personality for the media, and she can definitely make this season. Like I said, I don't anticipate a big win total, but can definitely make it go faster without it being a miserable experience, despite win, lose, or draw for the Mystics. So congrats to them on that pickup. Could have went a lot of directions, and they chose to go point guard. Anissa Moreau, second all-time in NCAA in double-doubles, ending up with Connecticut. They cleared out and completely gutted their entire roster. Alyssa Thomas was gone. They got rid of their legend at power forward, who now is with the Fever. Give me 1 second. I cannot definitely forget that legend. Who is this player? I want to say her name. As you all know, I'm going off the top of my head, off of just immediate instinct. So the adrenaline is pumping. I don't have writers or anything. I do everything on my own. And so sometimes it's, my mindset, my memory gets a roster. They lost Alyssa Thomas, Dejanay Carrington, and then they also got Dewana Bonner, who's a top 5 all-time scorer in WNBA history. So they are starting from scratch, and if you're starting a franchise from scratch, Anissa Moreau, who's second all-time in NCAA women's basketball hoops for double-doubles, is the person you want to go to. Unlimited motor, undersized, but yet somehow accumulates double digits in rebound. You think Angel Reese is a beast. She was still able to get her double digit rebounds next to Reese. And so this is truly amazing that uh, that she fell right to their lap. And congrats to both parties. It's going to be a very beneficial relationship. The road has been cleared for her to be everything she was at LSU and potentially more. Um, I knew she was special when she was still able to get some success offensively versus 6'7" big Lauren Betts at UCLA in that Final Four. So size is not a concern of mine, even though there's a lot more trees in the W. Um, they had also drafted Sanaya Rivers from NC State. NC State is interesting because they had two players who were invited in the to the WNBA draft. Only one of two franchises, one of only two programs to do so. So they're on the map now. Sanaya and Isaiah James, who I'm extremely fond of, even though I'm not happy she ended up with the Dallas Wings. That's probably my most disappointing pick of the draft, if I'm being quite frank. Um, Sarah Barker, she dropped 51 with Alabama. Her dad, fun fact, won a NCAA championship with Alabama a couple years ago, back in the day, not a couple years ago. So she comes from a lineage of athletes. The Sparks needed something that was going to, some added firepower on the perimeter to pair with Rakia, who I think might experience a little bit more time at the three with their front court of, Cram Brink returning and former Las Vegas Aces Dearica Hamby returning. So, don't be surprised. She's 6 foot, tenacious scorer, aggressive. You're going everything you like. Said she dropped 51. I think it was the fourth highest scoring total in the NCAA tournament game. So that lets you know everything you need to know. Chicago Sky had back-to-back picks. Jeff got really the fortune of luck. First of all, they got a 6'4" Sharpen Shavaka from Slovenia, and she's a dynamic scorer, very fluid jumper. Think of a bigger version of Xander Lassini, formerly of the Minnesota Lynx, and now with the Valkyries. I really like her game. Everyone could use a stretch. I was thinking this the other day. Maybe you move Angel Reese to the 3 a little bit and you put her at the 4 next to Cardosa so you can have a little spacing. I'm really excited about this decision by the Sky. That was a great addition. And then to make it even more ironic, that speaking of distribution, they went and got Haley Van Lith, formerly of LSU, who was also teammates with the franchise player Queen Angel Reese. Congrats to the Sky. That was a great 1-2 punch right there at 11 and 12, 10 and 11. Now here's the pick I didn't like: Isaiah James going to the Lynx. I think that was a luxury pickup. I felt like they should have probably looked for a power forward to pair with Smith on the front line, a multi-position defender, not more scoring. I already have concerns about Paige, Erica, and then Dejanay having enough touches on the perimeter, not to mention Alyssa can score from 3 levels. So it kind of really bothered me to see that. I wish she would have went to somewhere in more dire need of immediate help at point. In fact, I was kind of shocked the Connecticut didn't go in that direction. But hey, you know what? That would have been, and that's the crazy thing. Pairing, I don't know. Yeah, Sanaya Rivers, or even with the Sparks getting a point guard, I don't know. But that kind of was disappointing. Round 2, let me see. I want to talk about Chicago again. They went with Maddie Westfield, who was formerly of Notre Dame. It's just crazy Citrona Westbelt are there, but Hidalgo and Miles elected to stay in college. I know for sure Miles will get somewhere. Her services are priceless, but threw me off a little bit. Yeah, because the second round, Dallas goes again with Madison Scott at the two. It's like how much there's a gluttony of perimeter scorers there, and just kind of bizarre to me. But my favorite pick of this second round, probably, I'd have to say, is Pow Pow. Tahina Pow Pow led the nation in 3-point percentage 2 years ago. As you all know, the star studded one time face of the W, Brittany Griner's there. She's a commanding presence. Ryan Howard gets busy in the paint, so does Tyus Parker. And so, getting a floor spacer like Pow Pow, getting a guard, you know, and a 3-point specialist with Alyssa Gray, who won the 3-point contest last year. It's exactly what they needed, and I absolutely love seeing late round picks become value and picks that are filling needs. And so that was a phenomenal pickup. It really warmed my heart. It really made me jump out my seat like, wow, that was a great draft pick by the Atlanta Dream. I see the vision with them. I could talk about a lot of stuff, but I'm just going to leave it at that on that round. And then last but not least, oh wow, and I skipped over the second pick, but I guess, it was this steps right into it because first and foremost, the second pick was occupied by the Seattle Storm, and they get a French Magban, and Magban reminds me of a female Wemby. She's very fluid. She can do it from three levels. Great ball distributor. Can handle the rock. This is and I've seen highlights of her dunking. So she's got some extreme athletic prowess. Something to really. It's a project, but I think she also has, like Rebecca Lobo said, the highest ceiling of the group, and so I was very impressed with that selection. And then in the third round, Sundell, who's an all-time assist leader at K-State, goes there. She's 6'2". She's a big point guard who likes to pass first. And so, I'm really fond of that pickup, kind of like in the Haley Van Lith cloth in terms of big guards who like to pass, who love to look for passing lanes. And so I really think Seattle nailed it. I love that draft for them. Remember, they also moved off Jewel Lloyd, sent her to the Aces. So they did really themselves a solid. And I guess mentioning Jewel Lloyd going to the Aces, what I really like about the Aces is they had a first round pick taken from them to get Harmony Turner in the third round from Harvard. I'm telling you, write that name down. It's not the resume that Kelsey Plum had, but Harmony holds her own. Good friend of the brand. She, well, not friend, but definitely supported me on one of my tweets one time around Christmas when she declared for the draft. For her to end up on the Aces with Becky Hammond, one of my childhood favorite players. I love it. They really got extreme bang for their buck. Everyone was concerned about the depth at the guard spot. Losing Tiffany Hayes, who went to the Valkyries. Losing Kelsey Plum in a trade. Congrats to them. They did a phenomenal job with that selection. And that segues into my other phenomenal pickup that I really enjoyed was Caitlin Chen of UConn going to the Valkyries. Everyone wanted to see more a point guard or some type of guard reinforcement, seeing how they were a little thin and one of their guards is over 30. Well, Chen reminds me a lot of Natasha Cloud from the standpoint. She's so explosive. She loves to slash. She's an immediate energizer bunny off the bench. What a high energy player. Plays with a quality reckless abandonment that you love to see, and she fits that mold of the Carringtons, the Kennedy Carters, the Natasha Clouds, these like unusually explosive, abnormal explosive point guards. She falling into the third round to the Valkyries. I think, and even though it's a third round pick, has a high probability of sticking with this roster, and I would love to look forward to seeing her play. I think she's going to have a great career in the W. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I hope I did a good job today on this draft coverage. I'll try to do better next time. Global out.